Imagine stepping into your pasture and just knowing exactly what that bleat means.
Or figuring out why one of your goats just seems, quicker on the uptake with new routines than another one.
Exactly. Goats are, while they're complex, they're insightful, surprisingly clever, really.
And we often sell them short, don't we?
We really do. Welcome to Hoof Notes, everyone.
Where we try to make goat science make sense.
And today we are taking a deep dive into the really fascinating world of goat behavior.
We're going to explore their incredible minds, try to decode some of their secret languages.
And also look at how our own interactions, how we shape them.
Yeah, and for this, we're pulling from some really cutting-edge research.
What kind of stuff are we looking at?
Well, studies on goat cognition, their memory, also comprehensive reviews looking at that human-goat relationship.
Okay.
And even some pretty groundbreaking new work using artificial intelligence, AI, to understand their vocalizations.
AI for goat bleats. Okay, that's something.
It really is.
Huh.
So our goal today, our mission.
It's basically to give you a shortcut.
Right. By the time we finish, you'll hopefully have a deeper understanding, filled with surprising facts, important bits of knowledge.
Stuff that really helps you be well-informed about your own herd.
Get ready for maybe a few aha moments that might just change how you see your goats.
All right, let's jump in. Let's start with the savvy goat mind. Learning, memory, stuff like that.
Okay.
Now, you might not realize this, but your goats, they have impressive long-term memory. What's the research saying here?
It's genuinely remarkable. Studies show they can accurately recall visual information they learned before.
Like what kind of visual info?
Like different shapes shown on a screen. They remember them even after several weeks.
Several weeks, remembering a shape on a screen.
Yeah. Imagine remembering some random visual puzzle from over a month ago.
That's, wow. Okay, so how might that translate into, their daily life with us? Remembering routines or maybe us?
Absolutely. That memory power shows up in practical problem solving too. Well, there was this study where goats learned to solve a two-step puzzle box to get a reward, obviously. Sure. A little puzzle. And they remembered the solution for several months.
Months. Not weeks, months.
Months. Which strongly suggests your goats are likely memorizing learning processes linked to you. You're getting treats, gentle handling.
Good things. Maybe bad things, too.
Probably both, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They likely remember those kinds of experiences with you for a similar long time. They really hold on to those memories.
That's kind of a big deal. It really highlights how much our day-to-day interactions matter.
It really does.
But what about adapting?
Yeah.
Behavioral flexibility. Some goats seem way better at rolling with changes. Is that tied to intelligence?
It's a key aspect, yeah.
Yeah.
Adaptability is definitely part of their intelligence picture. There was a really interesting study on this.
Oh, yeah.
Researchers compared dwarf goats. These aren't typically bred for high production with dairy goats, who are selected for high milk yield. They put them through learning tasks.
Okay, dwarf goats versus dairy goats. What happened when they were first learning something new?
Well, initially, both groups performed pretty similarly, learning a new visual task, like choosing a black cup over a white one to get a treat.
Simple choice.
Right. And they took about the same number of sessions to get it right.
Yeah.
Oh, and an interesting little side note.
Yeah.
They found black things were learned more easily than white things.
Huh. Wonder why that is. Anyway, okay, so they both learned the first task, about the same, but you said there was a twist.
This is where it got really interesting. They reversed the rules.
Ah, the reversal learning. So the white cup now had the reward.
Exactly. And the dairy goats took significantly longer to adapt, to unlearn the old rule and learn the new one, compared to the dwarf goats.
Wow. So the high-production dairy goats were slower to adjust.
Yeah. And this finding, it supports an idea called resource allocation theory.
Resource allocation theory. Okay, break that down. So my best milker might be great at making milk, but maybe a bit stuck in her ways if I change the routine.
That's kind of the idea. It suggests a trade-off. If a lot of the goat's biological resources, their energy, goes into physical production, like making lots of milk,
then maybe there's less available for other things.
Exactly. Less might be available for, say, cognitive adaptability, like quickly changing a learned behavior.
Okay, that actually makes a lot of sense, like a biological budget.
Sort of, yeah.
So what's the takeaway for us goat owners? For their welfare?
Well, it's pretty important for welfare, actually. A goat's ability to cope with changes in their environment, new housing, different management routines that directly impacts their well-being.
Right, if they can't adapt easily, that's stressful.
It is. So knowing this helps us support them better. We need to recognize some goats might just need more time or maybe different approaches when things change. More patience.
More patience, definitely. Okay, so they're smart, they remember things, some adapt faster than others, but how do they tell us things? Let's talk goat talk.
Yeah, because it's definitely more than just random boss, right?
Way more. So how good are they at picking up on our signals?
They're surprisingly perceptive about our actions.
Huh.
Take pointing. Like if you point at hitty food,
They get it. They'll go, look where I point.
they successfully use that gesture, yeah. But interestingly,
What?
they don't generally seem to rely on just our head direction or where we're looking, our gaze, for those cues. Pointing works, but just looking doesn't seem to be enough.
Okay, so pointing yes, just looking no. What other signals from us work?
Our body orientation, which way our body is facing, that's an effective signal for them. It encourages them to approach.
Makes sense. If you're facing them, you're engaged.
Right. And here's a really surprising one.
Go on.
Research suggests goats actually seem to prefer interacting with happy human faces over angry ones.
No way. Really? They can tell.
Apparently so. They seem somewhat attuned to our facial expressions.
That's incredible. Like they have emotional intelligence about us. What about eye contact? That's huge for humans.
Eye contact is, well, the research is a bit mixed there.
Oh. How so?
Some studies hint that open eyes might provide subtle cues, maybe making goats slightly prefer approaching people with open eyes.
Okay.
But other studies didn't find a direct impact on their behavior from eye contact alone. So it might not be the big universal signal for them that it is for us.
Still, they're clearly observing us closely. What about the other way around? How do they initiate communication? How do they tell us they need something?
This is really fascinating.
Yeah.
They absolutely initiate communication when they need help.
Like how?
When they face something they can't solve, the classic example is food they can't reach.
Yeah. What do?
They'll often gaze at the problem, then gaze at the human, then back at the problem, alternating their gaze.
Like they're saying, hey, you, look at this, help.
Exactly. It really seems like they're asking for assistance. We see similar behavior in dogs and horses, too.
Okay, that gaze alternating thing is something to watch for.
And they even adjust it based on whether we're paying attention. They gaze more if we're facing the problem area.
Smart. So they're not just bleeding, they're using specific behaviors. What about physical contact?
Oh, yeah. They definitely seek physical contact. Rubbing against you, nosing you, pawing your hand or leg.
My goats do the nosing thing all the time.
Right. Or even jumping up. It could be asking for help, or sometimes just showing positive feelings.
And on our side, touch from us.
Human touch, used positively, petting, stroking, maybe even massage. They can promote relaxation and good feelings in goats.
Okay. But sometimes they initiate contact that's less nice.
True. Negative tactile stuff from them, like biting clothes or pushing with their head or horns. That might be signaling frustration or annoyance.
Yeah, gotta read those signals too. This brings up their voices, though. Beyond body language, can we really get the nuances in their bleats and calls?
Well, they are highly social, highly vocal animals. We know they recognize individual voices of other goats. And they can even tell positive versus negative emotions in other goats' calls. But deciphering it ourselves, that's been tricky.
Until now, maybe. You mentioned AI earlier.
Get ready for this. It's another potential aha moment.
Right.
There's groundbreaking new research using AI specifically, something called convolutional neural networks,
Okay.
that achieved an incredible 95.8% accuracy in classifying goat sounds into 8 different emotional states.
95%. That's, wow. How on earth did they train an AI to do that? We can barely do that.
Right. Well, it built on this amazing public data set called VOCAPRA.
VOCAPRA.
Yeah, collected from diverse goat farms in Italy. And animal scientists carefully listened to and annotated thousands of recordings.
Labeling the sounds based on the situation.
Exactly. They categorized vocalizations linked to specific contexts, like being in heat, feeding time, injury, or death.
Distress calls.
Distress, yeah. Social isolation, mother-kid separation cries, sounds during birthing, reacting to unknown visitors, and also the happy sounds of mother-kid reunion. 8 distinct categories.
Okay, so they fed all these labeled sounds to the AI, and what did the AI figure out that maybe we would miss?
It picked up on really subtle acoustic differences, things our ears might just not register.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, so vocalizations connected to mother-kid separation, they tend to have significant energy down in the lower frequency ranges, different from, say, heat vocalizations.
Lower pitch for separation anxiety? Okay.
And sounds linked to social isolation, being alone, they tend to last longer than the sharper calls associated with sudden injury or death.
Duration matters too. Huh. The implications. I mean, for us as goat owners, this feels potentially huge.
It really could be. This technology might lead to, real-time insights, maybe even a smartphone app someday.
An app that tells you what your goat is feeling based on its bleat.
Potentially. It could help interpret their emotional state through their voice. It's also interesting. The AI sometimes got confused between the sounds for unknown visitors and feed distribution.
Confuse those two. Why?
Well, it suggests that maybe, just maybe, goats experience similar emotions or levels of arousal in those two different situations, like anticipation or maybe slight anxiety.
Anticipation of food versus maybe weariness of a stranger. Interesting connection. Wow. Okay. Mind slightly blown by the AI stuff. Let's shift gears a bit. Goat society. Who's the boss in the herd?
Right. Well, within a goat herd, there's generally a pretty clearly established social hierarchy. It's usually quite stable and linear, like a ladder.
A pecking order. So what gets a goat to the top rung of that ladder?
The main things seem to be age, being bigger, and having horns. Those are the primary physical factors linked to dominance.
Makes sense. Bigger, older, with weapons.
And often, the most aggressive animals tend to hold those top spots. But here's a surprising twist.
There's always a twist with goats, isn't there?
It seems so. Research indicates it's often the middle-ranking goats.
Not the top dogs,
So not the top goats, no. The middle-ranking ones are often the most productive, say in terms of growth or maybe milk yield, depending on the study.
That completely flips the script. We always assume the dominant one is the best.
Yeah. But maybe being in the middle means less stress from constantly defending your top spot and less stress from being bullied at the bottom. Perhaps a sweet spot for productivity.
Huh. Interesting theory. Does that social rank affect other things like how they eat, foraging?
Oh, absolutely. It shapes their feeding habits quite a bit.
How?
When there's plenty of food, lots of forage around, both the dominant and the subordinate goats tend to get more selective. They might choose different plants or parts of plants.
They get picky when they can afford to be.
Exactly. But when food is scarce,
Then what?
those differences in diet tend to disappear. Everybody becomes more of a generalist. They just eat whatever they can to get enough calories. Survival mode kicks in.
Fascinating. They adapt their foraging based on rank and availability. Okay, this paints such a complex picture. Let's bring it all together with, well, us, the human factor. How much do we shape their behavior and welfare?
Profoundly. The quality of that relationship, the human-animal relationship, or HAR, as researchers call it, it has a huge impact on both their well-being and their productivity. Remember that memory we talked about?
Yeah, they remember stuff for months.
Right. So they remember interactions with us, and that memory directly influences how they approach future encounters, with you specifically.
So a positive HAR, a good relationship, it's not just, warm, fuzzy feelings. It actually pays off.
It really does. Tangible benefits. We're talking things like improved milk production because of less impaired milk ejection.
Okay, calmer goats let down milk better.
Yep. Also, heavier weight gains in young goats, kids. Even positive effects on mothering behavior and how the kids themselves behave later on.
Wow. What about health?
A good HAR can positively influence their stress resilience, make them better able to cope, which, in turn, might improve their immune response, their overall health.
Less stress equals better health. Makes sense.
And it can even affect their long-term mood, their general outlook, and maybe even their cognitive abilities.
That's a really strong case for being mindful about how we interact with them every single day.
It absolutely is.
So what are the key things that really shape this HAR? What makes the difference?
Well, early experiences are super important. Crucial, really.
Like bottle raising versus dam raising? Or just handling them young?
Both can play a role. Human rearing of kids, or even just short periods of, say, temporary separation and gentle handling when they're young. That tends to create more confident goats.
Confident how?
More confident around people, easier to manage later in life. And these effects aren't short-term. They can last a long time, sometimes over 2 years.
2 years from early handling. Wow.
Yeah. And then there's just gentle treatment overall.
What does that look like in practice?
Friendly talking, the tone of your voice, gentle touching, stroking, hand feeding. These are all vital for building a positive relationship.
And the result is?
They approach you more quickly, they get used to your presence faster, they habituate.
Okay, so early life and gentle handling. What about their living situation? The environment, how we manage the farm?
That plays a part too. For instance, in more intensive farming systems, where there's naturally more frequent human contact,
Yeah.
goats often show a shorter latency to first contact. They approach people faster,
Because they're just more used to people being around.
pretty much. But here's an interesting counterpoint. Physical environmental enrichments.
Like things to climb on, brushes, stuff like that. Good things.
Definitely good for the goats, improves
Yeah.
their welfare, but it can sometimes lead to them keeping a slightly larger distance from humans
Why?
because they have more options,
Mhm.
more things to do, more places to go to avoid direct contact if they choose. Makes sense, right?
Yeah, I guess so. More choice for them. And what about the goat itself? Their individual personality must matter.
Oh, hugely. A goat's basic temperament is a big factor. Some are just naturally more timid,
The skittish ones?
right? They're more reactive. They might always keep a greater distance. And some breeds are just known for being calmer, easier to handle.
Breed differences too.
And social rank, like we talked about, that can also affect interactions. Sometimes the higher-ranking goats actually keep more distance from humans.
No.
Maybe they feel less need to approach for resources.
Lots of factors on the goat side. But it's a relationship, right? What about our type? The human traits. The stock person.
Absolutely critical. The stock person's own characteristics, their attitudes, their behavior, they massively influence the HAR.
How so?
Well, farmers who genuinely consider goats pleasant animals, who like being around them, they're more likely to recognize signs of pain or distress.
Empathy matters.
Big time. Higher empathy in farmers leads to more positive attitudes towards the animals. Interestingly, some studies show women farmers often exhibit higher levels of empathy and maybe a better ability to interpret the goat's experiences.
Oh.
Also, if a farmer believes that positive contact like stroking is important,
Then they do it more.
and the goats become more willing to be touched, it's a positive feedback loop.
Belief influences behavior, influences goat response.
Right.
Makes total sense. So with all this complexity, how can we actually measure the quality of this relationship? Is there a reliable way?
There is a common and pretty effective method. It's called the latency to first contact test.
Latency to first contact. Sounds simple.
It basically is. You measure how long it takes for a goat to voluntarily approach a person who is just standing still and motionless in their pen.
Okay, and what's a good time?
A quick approach indicates a good, positive relationship. Some protocols suggest, for example, under about 24 seconds is a sign of a positive HAR.
Under 24 seconds. That's a concrete benchmark people can even try themselves. Carefully, of course.
Exactly. Gives you a tangible sense of the trust level.
Wow. Okay, what a deep dive this has been. Seriously. From their surprisingly long memory
Yeah, remembering puzzle boxes for months.
to the way they talk to us and how AI is now starting to decode their actual emotional state from their voices.
Which is just incredible to think about.
And then realizing how much our handling, our farm environment, even our own attitudes shape everything. Their social lives, their well-being.
And how that social structure influences who's productive, how they eat. It's all connected.
It really is. It's so much richer and more multi-layered than you might think at first glance.
Hopefully you listening now have a much deeper understanding of these amazing creatures.
Yeah, knowledge that really goes beyond just casual observation, right? Stuff that helps you create a genuinely better environment for your herd.
That's the goal.
So here's something to think about as you go about your day. Maybe hang out with your own goats later.
What is that?
Consider that untapped potential in truly listening to them, both by watching their complex behaviors more closely.
And maybe looking towards that future tech, like the AI, helping us understand their voices even better.
Exactly. What other secrets are we going to unlock? What new insights will we gain as we keep exploring their world?
It makes you wonder, doesn't it?